No discussion in Photoshop, even a basic one like this, would be complete without talking about saving and outputting to print any documents that you have in Adobe Photoshop. One thing to remember is intent. That's where it's going. You will work on an image in Adobe Photoshop with that intent in mind from the first moment that you open it. If you have no idea what this image is going to grow up to be, where it's going to print, then you're dead in the water, pun intended. I have to know where the image is going as I work on the image. And let's assume we've done that. If I go up to the word image and go down to image size, I can get some very good information on this image. For example, we're running 9 by 6 inches, resolution of 300. That 300 is a nice number. That means I can go out to press with this thing. I can go out to print, inkjet laser. I can downsample it, put it on the internet. I can do anything I want to. But if that number said 72, I would not be able to take this image to press, and there would be very little I could do to make it ready for press. So I like that number. Cancel out of here. We don't need anything. We know what we've got. With that information in mind, we need to maybe save the image. Let's go to the word File and go down to the word Save. I've already saved this once, so we're going to do a Save As. And I'll give it a different name so it doesn't override the original. So we got Output 1A PSD. The obvious things. Where are you going to put it and what are you going to name it? Let's click on Formats. We won't talk about all of them. I just want to talk about a few. Number one, if you are taking this document out to another Adobe product, InDesign, I love InDesign, Adobe Illustrator, leave it as a PSD. Now think of the advantage here. I can do drop shadows, transparency, anything that I do to this image in Adobe Photoshop will automatically transfer into InDesign. That's a tremendous advantage. But Andy, I'm not using an Adobe product here. It might be something else. Is there a format that we can use that more or less would open up in anything, even InDesign if I wanted to? The most universal format you have for output to press and to print would be probably this one right here, TIFF, Tagged Image File Format. Let's actually save it as that so you can see the options. Click Save. Under TIFF options, you have a compression. None, no compression whatsoever. LZW, zip, or JPEG. JPEG is lossy. You click JPEG, you are destroying the image to make it smaller. I would use that one with a grain of salt. Zip and LZW are non-destructive compression. In other words, they'll make the file smaller, but they won't hurt it in the process. That's an advantage if you're moving it, especially across, say, the internet, and you don't have a lot of bandwidth. But there is one thing you want to remember. Does the receiving party on the other side have the ability to uncompress it? If they don't have Photoshop, they probably do have standard zip programs, but they may not work. You want to take that into consideration before you use one. None leaves it big, but if you're not moving it across the internet, that's probably the one I would choose. Now, pixel order is interleaved or per channel. In most cases, it really doesn't matter which one of those you're going to choose, so we won't worry about that. The same thing with byte order. Byte order used to be very important to going from Mac to PC, but to be honest with you, it's hardly a consideration anymore. If you use either one of these, I guarantee it's going to be fine. However, if you're going out to a 4-color press, call your press operator and ask them if they have a particular option that they want you to use. Image pyramid will allow you to save the image in several different resolutions. You may have seen this if you've ever taken your images to do digital processing from film at a store, and they give them back to you on a CD, and when you open one, it gives you like 4 different ways to open it with different resolutions. That's image pyramid. This image does not have any transparency, but if it did, and this is important, TIFF now does support transparency in most programs, but only if you have that option on. So if you have transparency in this thing and you don't turn that on, it's going to have a big white box around it when you move it into the other program. Make sure you turn that on. If you are working with multiple layers, you can choose a compression method such as RLE, which stands for Run Length Encoding. It does save files faster, and it's for bigger files, and it does really good jobs with solid colors. Zip is slower, but does make a smaller file. Or you can say discard the layers, flatten the whole thing out, save it as one. Up to you. Now again, we only have one layer, so it doesn't give us that option. But TIFF is the best option to choose if you're not going to another Adobe product and you have to open it in another application. I don't know of a program offhand that would not open and love and embrace a TIFF file. Click OK to save the file. So we've actually saved it this time as a TIFF. Let's go back to the word file and go to Save As again. We talked about TIFF, showed you the options. PSD is about the same thing in terms of what you're going to get, but it's more versatile with Adobe programs. Two others I'll mention here while we're here, and that's DCS1 and DCS2. Those two options basically stand for digital color separation. If you are going out to a 4-color press, your operator might, I'm not saying they will, they may ask you to just save it as a TIFF, but they may ask you to save it as a DCS. The 1.0 is for older presses and the 2.0 is for newer presses. When you save Photoshop DCS files, they will actually save 5 separate files. A cyan, magenta, and yellow and black plate, and a composite. You actually get 5 files. The press operator can then take those files and convert them to the plates for the press. Most of the time, to be honest with you, if you're going out to something other than the internet, you will 90-some% of the time be using the TIFF or the Photoshop format. That's why we talked about those two.